Spring tide. Slow revolutions and slow orbit, Venus in view, bullet bright, bores the black horizon. These are the stellar cycles, the days keep turning, the planets pull past. Jupiter, Venus, then Mars, conjunct with Uranus, the parting faces of the moon, an eclipse, shadow on the sun, the tide thick and slow. Life learns its quiet phases. We draw close, and then, it seems, with no power of our own, pull apart, find new orbits. Patterns of sameness, yet nothing stays the same. Days of decay, there is no way of taking the distance out of the distance. Such a small back door to shut out the crowding stadium of stars. The Venetian blinds stay up. Outside, the silence doesn't sleep. Please rise and body your spirit for the hymn. Come, come as you are.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Can I get an amen this early? Amen. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Reverend Chris Long, one of your ministers. My pronouns of choice are he, him, his. Up on the chancel this morning, we have Reverend Nathan Ryan. Woo-hoo. We have Canova Smith, our worship associate, and our director of family ministries, Kathy Smith, and our music director extraordinaire, we have Lee Hartman. And in our treehouse, our techno support behind you that's making us all sound good and look good. Hello to you all out in Zoom, YouTube land. We're on YouTube, not Zoom. Woohoo! I extend a heartfelt welcome to those visiting us here for the first time. Thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing to join us for worship. We are glad that you are here with us today. Please do join us for coffee and delights in the kitchen area that's just out the door and to the left, where you'll be welcomed by members and friends alike of this church. Today's announcements, can I get a hey, hey, hey? Hey, hey, hey. Plans are in full swing for our congregational auction being held when? April 1st, no fooling, and we have an announcement about that. Let's invite Kathy up to share the announcement. She's working hard.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. The auction team is very excited for our upcoming event. We want to do a early thank you for all of your items. It looks really, really great. We made a joke about having 100 items, but we really do. We're pleased and scared about that at the same time, but it'll work out. So if you plan to be somewhere else besides 8470 Goodwood Boulevard on April 1st from 6 to 9, please let us know if you want to access off-site or virtually. You can get in touch with any of us on the team or Allison. We ask that you do that no later than Thursday the 30th, which is 2 days before the auction, so we can get you set up for some off-site. So now what we really need is some auctioneers. That'll be for one item only. We'll give you training, we'll give you the information you need, etc. We just need your energy and your excitement as you come to the stage. So we'll give you everything on the night of. So we need a few more volunteers for that. We need a couple of folks to help us with taking something down from the attic right after service, see me. And speak to in-member if you want to do anything else to help us. We need a couple of more things on the day of, and some power moving the chairs on the Wednesday before. So just let us know. We'll be at the table between services. So final details. You can dress up or dress down. You can show up or you can sign on at home. You can drink or you can not. You can wear a mask or not. You can bring the kids or not. We'll have childcare. We'll have the food, the fun, the best live auction in time. If you haven't been there, please do. It's one of my favorite things. So hug or fist bump your auction team member today, and we'll see you on April 1st.
As promised, Reverend Michael Dowd will be holding five Zoom sessions to continue to share on his and his wife Connie Barlow's ministry on post-doom, no gloom. Those dates are on Zoom for March 21st and 28th, April 4th, 11th, and 18th, with the first being this coming Tuesday, and we have a time from 6:30 to 8:30 Central Standard Time for those who are Zooming in and who may want to join in. Please do pick up a handout and if about the information about the Zoom sessions, which is out on the table in the kitchen area, to find the link, and as well, yes, our social justice team will be meeting today during middle hour from 10:15, 11:15 in room 7. Newcomers are always welcome. Also during middle hour, I said the social justice team will be meeting. There'll also be some adult activity nurturing our nature connections in room 1, nature music, song circle, and listening circle, depending on what participants want. I did that, our last announcement of the morning, I should say, with more enthusiasm. The board of this church, Reverend Nathan, the members and friends of the congregation have decided to install me as your ministerial congregation, what's my title again? Minister of Congregational Life. On Sunday, April 23rd, at what time? 3:54 p.m. And the mystery will be shared next week why in the service of why I chose 3:54 p.m. There will also be events on Saturday, and the planning is unfolded. I cannot thank you enough for such an honor. Again, good morning and welcome. I now invite you to join me in a spirit of quiet, a meditative space, prayer. This morning's prayer. Spirit of life, universe, Gaia, God. Let us take pause in our service to honor the indigenous communities whose lands we now inhabit. In this continued moment of silent reflection, I would like to welcome into this space, as you may also wish to, our individual and collective ancestors who made all of us possible. Even as we know, some of our ancestors caused us great harm from which we are working to heal. As it is still Women's History Month, I invite us all aloud to name women of history or of today who you would like to have uplifted in this space. Dear ones, there is so much going on within each of us. Some gather this morning to celebrate a joy, an anniversary, or a birthday. Yet others are beset with new diagnoses that are much with us and need to be held here in this loving church community. We are here. Yes, we are beginning a legislative season that will engage our values, our Unitarian Universalist values, in ways that we know will be trying. Specifically around woman's right to choose what she does with her body, the attacks on what some can and cannot read, and the legal punishment for those who express who they are as trans, LGBTQ human who deserve dignity, amen? And just over the last couple of days, the cage rattling for more violence through this nation's political landscape are clanging. And we must know this is a place to share your worries and for us to engage the power and resources we do have locally, denomination-wide, and through our living our Unitarian Universalist faith wherever we go. As we continue to ease into this morning's worship service, please let us, for this hour, let us know that this is a community and we can hold whatever it is that is with you, be it joy, deep sorrow, or longing for deeper community. Ashe, shalom, salam, blessed be, and amen.
So this morning's lesson is a story. It's from a book called Mira and the Big Story from Laura Alry. It's a story that is not a true story, but there is truth in it. See if you can hear the truth that is in it for you. Once there was a river that flowed through a valley between two villages. In both villages, the people told wonderful stories about the beginning times. The people in one village said the King of Heaven sent enormous birds to build the mountains and dig the river and gave the valley to our ancestors. The people in the village across the river said the Queen of the Earth sent giant turtles to carry our ancestors up the river. She gave the valley to us. Each village told their story so often, and they loved their stories so much that they could not imagine another story of the beginning times. When they looked across the river and saw the other village celebrating in a different way, they said, "That's not how it is. This valley was a gift to us. They don't belong here. There is no room for others." Mira, a little girl, knew the stories of her village by heart, but she was curious. One day, She waded across the river. On the other side, everything was strangely familiar. When she looked across the river to see her village, it felt odd to see it the way the others did. She turned around to go home, and she stumbled, and she fell. A little boy scrambled down from the tree. "Are you hurt?" he said. He held out his hand. "Lean on me, and we'll make it across the water." They waded back across the river. Mira was puzzled. "Where did you come from?" "I watch you like you watch us, but you were brave enough to cross the river first." And away he went, back across the river. Mira was all jumbled up inside. The others were not supposed to be kind or curious or like her. She went to see old Alfred, who was wiser than anyone she knew, and she asked, still all jumbled up inside, "Are our stories wrong?" Old Alfred stared up into the night sky. "Stories can make you bigger," he said, "when they stretch your mind and your heart. But a story can make you smaller if it takes up all the space and leaves no room for new people or new ideas. So whenever you hear a story, ask, is this story making me bigger or smaller?" Mira felt even more mixed up. What kind of story could be big enough for everyone, she asked. "Maybe this one," old Albert said. "In the beginning there was nothing, yet there was everything. It was there but not there. The way a bright sunflower is inside and is not inside the striped shell. The way the music is there and not there inside the wooden case of the violin. Out of that energy came unimaginably tiny bits of matter that swirled together and formed stars that burned for ages, vast furnaces forging new things deep inside, and when the time came for them to die, the stars exploded and they sent bits of matter all across the universe. And from that stardust came clouds and comets and dragonflies and dinosaurs, rattlesnakes and redwood trees, an old man and a Mira and a boy who is still a stranger. From that stardust came a little blue planet Earth. We all come from the same place. We are all made from the same stuff. We are neighbors on this little planet of ours, sailing through the cosmos." Mira felt like she was going to burst. "If this story is true," she said, "then nobody owns the valley, and we all belong here. The people across the river are not others. If this story is true, we have wasted so much time." And she cried, "What about our stories? What about our gift?" "Dear child," said Alfred, "who dreamed everything when there was nothing? Who opened the heart of the little boy across the river? Who made you so wonderfully curious? You have not lost your gift, nor the one who gave it. Both are just so much greater than you ever imagined." Mira thought about what he had said and realized old Albert's story didn't make her feel smaller. It made her feel bigger. "Your story is big enough for everyone," she said, and she reached her arms up to the starry sky. "I am already home."
The sharing of stones ritual here at the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge is a time in our service where we take pause to come forth to share stones to honor joys and sorrows of our lives with this community. Visitors are always welcome to take part in this ritual. This week and every week, those who gather are invited to sign cards for members of the congregation at the Congregational Life table that is out in our breezeway. Please look for the beautiful photo of some of the flowers. There's a stand of some of our flowers that have been used that signifies the caring team table to find the cards. This week, we have cards to sign for our Emily Toth after a recent hospitalization. I'm not sure if she's a fan of having her birthday publicly announced, but she did have a birthday on Friday. Can we give it up for Emily? I will certainly ask for forgiveness if this is not a good idea to share from her. Also, we have a card for Paul Barry, who had surgery this past week and is on the mend and is out and about. Just last night, Reverend Nathan officiated the wedding of church members Adam Randall Voss and Aaron David Rogerson at the Baton Rouge Gallery. There's also a card out there for them. Please do sign them as you leave today. Those who would like to take part in this ritual, please come forth lining the east or west wall of the sanctuary. Our sharing of stones ritual begins. Let us say together our chalice lighting words. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
So we're actually going to transition into the offering, but I wanted to mention just a couple of things real quick. First, Cappy and I had a conversation. She was the one who was up here talking about the auction. Cappy, if I don't have a lot of money, can I still be a part of the auction? Yes. Online people and those with who need a mic. She said yes, and not just like, is this just like a pat on the back, like I feel good because I don't have money? Are there actually ways that I can engage with this if I don't have the same amount of money that someone who's like independently wealthy? Plenty of ways. And there's good food, good fun. I mean, we actually had, the generosity team had a discussion this week specifically about making sure that there were ways that the auction was a time for everyone to get together and raise money for the church, but without it creating a feeling of, like one of the members of the generosity team said, I don't ever go to auctions anywhere because I know there's nothing I can get there. There's no reason for me to be there. And our goal is to make sure that is not the case.
Amen.
So I just wanted, you can be excited. And also really quickly on the 21st, which is Tuesday? Yes, on Tuesday, The Together Baton Rouge is having a luncheon here, and then on the 30th is our delegates assembly. We have 3 delegates, but they asked us to commit a number of people. And Together Baton Rouge is the one who called us the church who shows up, and they asked us how many people would be there. And another church said 25. And I wasn't comfortable saying over 25 because this is my first time making a prediction. So I didn't say over 25. So would you please make me wrong on the 30th? And as a bonus, we have even made sure our own worship associate is employed by Together Baton Rouge. It's going to be at Greater Mount Carmel Baptist Church, but there are 2 of them. Don't go to the one it isn't. This is the one in Scotlandville.
1414 Sora Street.
Yeah, it's on 1414 Sora Street. But here's the other deal that I am entirely making up and is not true at all. If 30 of you come, she gets a bonus.
No, don't say that.
Well, it's not true, but if it motivates...
come many different ways.
Yeah. A bonus is in many different ways. The bonus could be someone saying, wow, you had 30 people come. Exactly. Your senior minister must predict better in the future. Okay. This morning, we are sharing the offering with... Oh. There's some benefit to us doing this the whole month. Louisiana Environmental Action Network. The weekend I was installed, one of the clergy who came in got an Airbnb all on her own. And it was at Lean's headquarters. And that was when we were doing the shared offering for Lean last year. So I don't know how much we gave Lean last year, but they actually housed one of our clergy. So we need to share more this year. So I'll ask you to give very generously for whoever happens to accidentally stay at their Airbnb, and for also all of the good work that they are doing in this world. Online people, you can go on there's a link. Just give. This morning's offering will be gratefully given and received.
Slow resolutions and slow orbit. Venus in view, bullet bright, bores the black horizon. There are stellar cycles. These are stellar cycles. The day's deep turning. The planet pull past. Jupiter, Venus, Mars. These words were excerpted from this morning's invocation through a poem titled Springtide by Paul Deaton. How many of you have ever enjoyed taking in the majesty of most any sunset? Or taking in the moon as it shows its many phases throughout any given month? I know how taking in the bounty of the heavens, even when clouds and other forms of weather, in my case, all forms of weather, present themselves in ways I'm astounded by. In fact, I'm coming to think of stargazing, tree hugging, honoring all forms of weather as my spiritual practice, especially over the last 15 to 20 years of my life. Living here in Louisiana for the last 8 months, I continue to be gobsmacked, say gobsmacked, but not only the sunsets that I've enjoyed in this part of the country, but some of the night skies in my neighborhood that does not have a lot of light pollution are breathtaking. Moreover, the landscapes, trees, waterways, and swamps throughout my travels across some parts of this state thus far have knocked my socks off on more than one occasion. Taking in the Spanish moss that covers the trees, while azaleas bloom in their varieties of colors, palmetto, I will get it right, palmetto branches and bushes woo me at almost every turn. Again, not to mention the swamps and the cypress knees I have been introduced to. They nearly bowl me over. This lush, rich, complex, even complicated system of our natural world, in combination with climate change realities, have helped to generate the topic and theme for today's worship service. The title and theme for today's worship is Jupiter and Venus, Environmental Sustainability. Today's sermon topic in 3 parts: Jupiter and Venus, trees and swamps. That didn't get any laughter. When I wrote it, I cracked up. Trees and swamps, climate change, creating calm in the storms, and environmental sustainability through loving community. How many of you got to take in the night sky a few weeks ago when Jupiter and Venus shone brightly for many days in a row? After being driven with Reverend Nathan to the Wesley United Methodist Retreat Center in Woodsworth, Louisiana. Who here been to Woodsworth? Okay, a few folks. About 2 hours from here, driving through such topography that is markedly different than even here. Through my mind, body, and soul, I continue to realize that I'm no longer living in the Midwest. On the second night of our 3-day retreat there in Woodsworth with other Unitarian Universalist ministers, a colleague and I were strolling from the dining center into the night sky to get back to be with the others for our evening's workshop and worship. As I walked out and looked up into the sky, 2 objects in the sky shining so brightly that I freaked out. My first thought was, what the heck is that? This sighting for me took place mere days after the balloons sightings were happening in the sky, balloons being shot down, and in my head I was wondering if indeed I was seeing a UFO. My brain and being were racing. Within moments of arriving back at the De Colores Center, where we met for most of our retreat, the colleague and I that I had been strolling with found that which I was seeing was in fact Jupiter and Venus, and not my wild, running, free imagination. As one who has lived on Park Avenue in New York City on the 16th floor of a high-rise, in the hills of Berkeley and Oakland, California, the flat lands of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Ohio, and in a housing project in Memphis, Tennessee, and now coming to understand climate change and environmental justice from many, many angles, I am truly grateful to be here as one of your ministers and to be in dialogue with so many of you around climate change and environmental sustainability. I cannot thank Ms. Maida Owens and others enough for bringing these subjects to the fore in this sacred religious community. I invite you to rise in body and spirit to join in our next hymn. Thank you.
There is a love in this love.
I look at the land as being a part of sacred covenant with our children and the coming generations. If we live for ourselves only, our lives are bereft of true legacy. But when we live in the presence of the ancestors, we also live for our descendants. To feel concerned for the future is to bring a piece of eternity into the present and let it guide us. The climate crisis is sorting those who feel a duty to the future generations from those who live for themselves. Right where you're seated, let's do this next time.
My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far-off hymn that brings a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? Our thoughts to them are winging, when friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
How can we keep from singing? Friends, as we all know too well, our climate, the earth over, is changing. It is changing rapidly and maybe even exponentially. Changing in ways our indigenous siblings have long known and have responded to in cultural, sacred ways. We must learn to listen and to learn from. Amen? Climate Change, Creating Calm with the Storms is the title of this portion of the sermon. As many of you know, last weekend we hosted Reverend Michael Dowd, an eco-theologian, a compost theologian, if you will. We hosted him for a public lecture on Friday, a day-long workshop on Saturday, 2 worship services on Sunday, and a Q&A in between during our middle hour. Much of last weekend can be found on our YouTube channel, the church's YouTube channel. As mentioned in the announcements, he will also be providing 5 Zoom sessions to share about his and his wife Connie Barlow's post-doom, no-gloom ministry and analysis for possible faithful religious ways to lean into these ever uncertain times regarding climate change. As I am personally still deeply processing much of what he shared from his and his wife's 19 years of itinerant ministry across the country, it is clear from my lived theological and personal experiences as a working class, working poor background human with all of my identities, I do have a lot to learn about climate change. As it stands today, my theological, religious, and personal experiences with climate change and environmental justice invites me to deepen my relationship with indigenous, ancestral, religious, and contemporary responses. As we know, the climate change impacts marginalized communities even more or even worse, in my humble opinion, and I'm just starting to have the capacity to engage this critical subject. An example of my understanding of yet another way to think through climate change and liberation is through another analysis of this topic. My beloved friend, mentor, colleague, the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, who is the sole candidate for the presidency of our denomination, she completed her PhD at Yale in religious ethics and African American studies. Her work focuses on environmental ethics of liberation and a womanist and Latina feminist frame. The title of her PhD is Eco-Womanism at the Panama Canal, Black Women, Labor, and Environmental Ethics, and it is available for purchase through Rowman and Littlefield Publishers. Reverend Michael and his wife, Connie Barlow, continue to share their ministries based in the science of climate change, the rise and fall of many civilizations, including some possible projections for our current civilization. They engage their work through a faithful religious response of reverence to and for what is happening to our climate and society. During and since his visit, I and Reverend Nathan have been acutely listening to and honoring the many responses several of you have had to aspects of what you were able to hear and feel from what Reverend Dowd shared during his visit. As you might imagine, and justly so, there have been a range of responses to his visit. From those who have long followed his ministry across 2 decades and think that his teaching, scientific approach, and religious responses created calm for you as we experience the impacts of climate change. Other responses, such as shock, maybe even numbness to what he shared, has been expressed. Some were overwhelmed, confused, even angry, and needed to leave a session they were attending. And yes, others have rejected some, if not all, of what he shared. Dear ones, know, please know, as Reverend Michael shared himself, all of these responses are valid, and yours are these responses are valid, are your responses, and it is okay. Amen? Amen. As you may know, this church is where we will continue to wrestle with the realities of climate change and environmental injustices as a faithful response to our deepest tasks as Unitarian Universalists as it relates to climate change. This church is making space for these long-needed discussions about climate change and how it has long been a harbor, a calm in the storm, if you will, to support ourselves, this community, nearby cities, including New Orleans and Houma, Louisiana, when the storms, floods, and the H word, yes, the H word, have occurred. Amen? And we have a team of congregational members who are at the ready for the next storm, as we know deep within it seems most certain we will have others. Our disaster response team has and is responding to the storms of this community and beyond. They have systems in place to respond to what may come. As it stands, Ms. Maida has generated a growing list of members of the congregation who are open to continuing our conversations and the spiritual, religious, skills-building conversations and actions as the climate continues to change. Please do sign up if you're interested out in the kitchen area as you're leaving. Can we, say can we, this church, continue to be a calm when climate change and other storms enter our lives? I believe it has and will continue to be so. Okay, somebody said that. Y'all are on it. Where I'm at in the, what I gotta do? Oh, we will now have a reading.
Good times happen up here. Was this one on? Good times happen up here. All right, all things are connected. This we know, the earth does not belong to us, we belong to the earth. This we know. All things are connected, like the blood which unites one family. All things are connected.
Indeed, all things are connected. I am truly grateful to Ms. Maida for helping me start to ground some of my understandings of the magic, yes, magic of my experiences here in Louisiana, specifically as it relates to environmental, culturally rooted environmental sustainability practices. She invited me a week ago Thursday and Reverend Michael Dowd to Houma, Louisiana, where I drove along with myself. I drove along such rich swamp country. I had no idea I would be meeting Ms. Janie Verrett Luster over a meal at a local restaurant there in Houma, and her older brother, Reverend Kirby Verrett. I had no idea I would be indirectly or very directly connecting to what felt like hundreds of years of Houma Indian Nation culture and tradition in ways dating back centuries. As we were enjoying a Louisiana-sized appetizer, enough to feed four, I was so deeply transfixed by the stories we heard from Ms. Janie and Reverend Kirby. They shared so freely through a woven tapestry of some of their Houma traditions. They shared the impacts of climate change on their lives, including Hurricane Ida and more. They shared a level of resilience that can only be experienced in knowing, living, and loving in community that this too shall pass, and we love anyway. Miss Janie, unbeknownst to me, before going to Houma at the invitation of Miss Maida, is an esteemed elder of the Houma people. Miss Janie is a well-known Houma artist, basket weaver, cultural preservationist. She creates beautiful jewelry and artwork using scales of the alligator garfish, which I learned yesterday has nothing to do with an alligator. She is responsible for reintroducing the Houma half-hitch palmetto basket weaving technique to her tribe, to the Houma Nation. She has passed on the basketry knowledge to her daughters, her 3 daughters, and granddaughters, and currently teaches others in her tribal community. She lectures on how the Houma used herbal medicine. She comes from a long line of traditional healers, of medicine men and women from both sides of her family. She is a tribal and community advocate. She has earned a Master Artist of Louisiana and has received the United Homa Nations Central Cultural Preservation Award and the Louisiana Division of the Art Folks Life Fellowship Award. Here are some of her baskets and artwork that I got to take in while there. She also shows and sells her works at any number of cultural and and music festivals, not only in Louisiana, but other Native American gatherings around the country. Reverend Kirby Verrett, a longtime member of the Homa Tribal Council, where he was the president for 10 years, is also an ordained United Methodist minister for 30 years and is the pastor of the largest Native American United Methodist Church in the United States. It's called Clanton Chapel United Methodist Church in Duloc, Louisiana. Again, I had no idea in being invited by Ms. Maida, I would be so warmly welcomed into this sacred web of such living history, cultural and religious spirituality, and faithfulness. The entire time we ate, even as I was taking in, being humbled and honoring the lessons that poured from those at the table so freely, one of Miss Janie's baskets sat on the table just in front of me. The beauty of the baskets and now learning just a bit more about this historic and living art form is, for me, one of the many ways that the Homa, through the hands of Miss Janie, her daughters and granddaughters, they share how she and the Homa Nation remain calm in the storms that they have and continue to endure for centuries. As I was heading back and needed to be back in Baton Rouge for nearly the 2-hour drive, Ms. Maida and Reverend Michael would stay the night there and even more deeply be submerged in the climate change realities the Homa and all who still live there face. I was and am profoundly struck by the conversations as it was turning to let me start that again. I was and am profoundly struck by the conversation as it was turning to how I suspect the Homa will continue to remain calm to the weather and storms that come. Reverend Kirby and Ms. Janie shared a wisdom that I must continue to work towards in my life and living. They articulated a clear, faithful, even or especially through all they have and their people have endured for over 500 years. As members of this church, even with all the floods, the warming temperatures, the azaleas, and other beautiful things that are coming up a bit earlier than usual, can we lean into loving community here? Getting to know our neighbors and community members, even a bit beyond our comfort zones, getting to know each other a bit more, to live boldly into love, we know is possible as the storms and climate change is happening. Let us live and love boldly through the fire of commitment to be the calm when the storms come, as we know they will. Amen? Amen. Amen. Blessed be. Shalom, salam, and may it be so. Please rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, The Fire of Commitment. And let's sing it with a little fire, shall we? hour is ended. Yes, all things are connected. May we go forth from this place with the fire of commitment that is embedded in the bedrock of what it means to be Unitarian Universalist. Go out in calm and understanding, knowing until we meet again. Ashe and Amen.